up and sit down.
Hi guys, this is Bigmeks Workshop and Paint Studio. I'm Dodge, and this is part 2 of the Typhanaught video, which is our Glockkin model mashed together with a Gorkanaut model to make a massively swollen, monstrous orc beast. Having lots of fun with this project. This video is going to be about the head. I'm going to keep all these videos as short as possible, as that's what our subscribers were asking for. And then when the whole series is done, I'm going to edit them all together so there's a long length version of the video as well. So let's not muck about anymore. Let's crack on with sculpting and building this head. So as I showed in the first video, I'm using the back of the main Gorkanaut head as a place to pop the Glockkin head. And the reason for that is I need to attach this jaw to those parts. Now I could have sawed all those parts off, including the bit the jaw goes to, but that would have been more awkward than just using this to sculpt on. So I've been faffing around there trying to figure out which way round I'd want that with the details and everything. I decided to go this way round. No particular reason, although I originally was contemplating putting the wires and cables and stuff at the back of the throat showing through as well. I do use a lot of blue tack for this first section here, as I'm going to start bonding everything together later on. I obviously want the position to be right. I was also faffing around here. I wanted the jaw to be at a slight angle. It's not quite where it ended up, but it does end up looking pretty decent when it's done. Now the Glockkin head does kind of look like a mutated orc anyway, but I decided that popping that on that way, popping the mouthpiece on that way, it just doesn't look right. I wanted those tusks or big teeth to look more of an angle. So by bonding it to the front of the jaw, I was able to get a better look of how I was going to achieve this. As you can see, that starts to look quite a bit more orky than it did before. And I was getting quite happy with it. I did want to have the whole jaw guard at an angle, but already we've got something looking pretty orky and pretty interesting. So I started to examine this part, and it's a bit bumpy on the underneath of the chin, so that's going to need smoothing off so I can bond it to the jaw guard. And this bit here will be where the gums would be, but because of the angle I'm now putting it at, it would show up on the model, so I need to file that off as well. I was having a bit of problem getting the jaw to fit on the way I wanted to, and that's because these little glue parts, these overlatched bits that are supposed to bond to it, were just getting in the way ever so slightly. So I do need to take the underneath ones off because they were bumping into the back of the detail work, and it wasn't enabling me to keep the jaw open as far as I wanted it to. I also started mucking about with the ideas there for how the back of the neck's going to look and the shoulders, and I would have loved to use that particular Gorkanaut part, but the rivets go down when you put it at that angle and they don't bolt into anything. So this bit is actually the part from a battle wagon, so already that's even more money and parts and stuff, but something along those lines would work really well for the over top piece of the armour. So I was just fiddling around. I decided to go with that one because it's got both those lips on either side, and I can attach more stuff to that. And these bits here, I don't really want to do a massive bit rundown again, but these are other parts that I'm contemplating attaching to the head, cables and detail work. As I will have cables coming from the neck and the head going into the armour plating that we're going to build. There's a lot in the way of design process before doing this, as it's quite an expensive conversion, and at this point wanting to put all those bits on, I can't just stick them on, it looks weird, so I'm going to have to cut all this bit out here. Eventually just sand all that down so I can start sculpting the shape of the head. So these are also parts of the battle wagon. They're from the front section for the ram, and bolting both of those together does make an interesting chest piece, and then putting the rest of the battle wagon part over the top somehow with the head sticking out starts to make it look like a giant orc of some kind. So that's where I'm going with it currently. And as I was saying about the details for the back of the head, I do want cables and things coming out the back leading into the machine, because it needs to be a cross between Nurgle and Orcs. Orcs will have all those bits of junk on it, but Nurgle's going to have a lot of rot, so I can blend those into all the warts and all the other detail work. As you can see, as I've jumped forward there with that edit, I've actually cut a bit of the Glotkin's head apart, so I can start putting these details in. I'm not sure. Oh, these bits actually now that I'm putting on are from one of the arms, as I wasn't planning on using that arm, as I'm going to use the Glotkin arm. And then I used a bit of a smoke launcher, and the idea here would be I would put cables coming out of each of those smoke launchers, so they look more like connectors of some kind that go into the back of the Orc's head. I do end up taking this off at some point because I'm not quite ready for that stage yet, but it will look about right when it's done, I think, but I do have to build up the shoulders and the rest of the head first. Back to the ram parts on the battle wagon, I ended up sanding those down just to get them to join nicely in the middle there, so it looks like one big piece, as they were just overlapped before and it didn't look right. I'm going to put more detailing over that centre bit there and fill in that gap. I'm also going to attach some other bits of battle wagon, just any bits of piping and things that I've got to the underneath bits there, and that's going to start building parts that go in into the neck and the back of the armour. I'll build the muscle up around underneath, and as you can see there, I'm thinking about putting some cables coming out of the neck and around the outside. Going to have lots of holes in the neck with things coming out of it. That should look pretty cool. And I was getting a bit sick of the way I had to hold this all the time to show you, so I made a terrible bit of armature out of a bunch of spare sprue. Now the pins have to be put in here because to paint the inside of the mouth and the rest of the model, I'm going to need to be able to take this jaw off. Also decided I was going to slap a bunch of green stuff on here where the mouth, what's it called? Where the glands at the back of the mouth or the throat would be. Start sculpting that round as well, and that would enable me to push this on and then make a hole for it directly, and also keep it all covered up as that green stuff. Also, we need some more teeth on there, so again, I've got a bunch of sprue. I've filed it down to a rough orc tooth shape, and I'm going to put those in the bottom jaw. This top jaw here, I'm actually thinking of adding in some little bullets from some orc models, just as teeth, just to make it look a little bit more orky. Now I've added an extra bit of green stuff over those paper clips there, and you can see the back bit of green stuff that I've done, and now I snap that together. I know for a fact it can come apart and go together at the angle that I want it, and I'm quite content with that, and I can start sculpting all the way around it. It is a bit tricky getting the skin to go from this part here because the jaw has to come apart and you don't want your green stuff sticking to everything. So building the two parts, making them bond together is a bit of a pain. Started adding the back of the throat now, where the tongue will end up coming out of eventually. It doesn't have to be too detailed, as the head for the orc will probably end up leaning forward slightly like it's charging. But it does add a little bit more depth into that and a bit more detail if you end up looking into the mouth. Building up the sides in between the jaw and the head, that was a real nightmare. It went wrong so many times. And there's me experimenting with a tongue. I do correct the tongue later on and decided that it was okay, it wasn't wide enough and we needed some more detail. And you can see there on the left of the mouth, I've actually put those teeth in. So we've got extra teeth in the side and up the side of the head here. Once this is set, we're going to start putting stitches so it looks like it has... so it looks like at some point it's been whacked in the head with something and it's split the jaw and all the side of the head. So we're going to put stitches all the way up this bit. And here we go, the next step where I've sculpted in those two parts, let them set, and then I've started adding in little stitches of green stuff. Wasn't going to show you the stitching of the green stuff in this particular video as it's already about 10 minutes long, but they're just separate bits of green stuff added on a bit at a time, and then even more stitches. Basically you end up rolling a bit of green stuff, as you can see on my desk there, put a little hole and pull it away, and then tuck the very tip of that in, and then tuck the very tip of the stitch into that hole, and then roll over it so it just smooths out a little bit, and it should look fine. Was really struggling with this side of the jaw, so I threw a couple of paper clips in to use as some armature, give me something to build over. So you can see there, so I can stretch the flesh now, and I do stretch the flesh over the entire mouth. But what happened, because I've got a bottom jaw and a top jaw, is there was a gap in between. So what I ended up doing was building a bunch of warts and attaching those, but in a way so when the jaw goes on, they overlap and you can't see that there's an actual gap in between the two of them. Now those warts at the top there, I'm going to put extra flesh over those so they look like they're coming out of the inside, and that's easy enough to do. We do have some green stuff tutorials on the channel if you don't know how to do any of these things. We have an entire one on stitches as well. I started building up the top of the head as well now with the green stuff, just as a frame. It's going to give me something to build on later. And of course, adding extra detail in over the top there with more green stuff. Just layering 2 pieces of green stuff over those top warts, smoothing it out with my silicone sculpting tools, and adding again a couple more stitches for now. And at this point I'm quite happy with the way the head's coming along. The top of the head is not done in this video. As I said, I need to finish the neck work and the shoulder work as well, which will be a video coming very soon. Now the only thing I haven't shown you on this that I did was I made a tongue, and that was relatively easy. Same sort of system, you just roll the tongue shape, put a line down it, except for this one I rolled up some little green stuff bits and I usually let them dry, so I put some warts on the tongue as well just to add some extra rot on the side of the mouth that you can see when that was the right side of the mouth, which is slightly more open, so you can see through that gap and you can see those extra teeth and the warts on the tongue. And I'm going to throw this on the Lazy Susan, although it does not rotate properly at all because well, it's at a weird angle and I've got nothing that will actually hold it up properly. They won't get in the way of the camera, so I'm just using a cork stand that I've temporarily made. And that is pretty much it for this video. So like I said, I tried to keep them as short as possible. I've got to say thanks for watching. I'm really enjoying this project, so do like and share these videos because it encourages me to make more of these mad projects. Yeah, I really do like my converting, and the more views it gets, the more inclined I am to just make more of these. So do let me know. There's plenty more in the series for this one coming up. It's a project I do want to 100% complete. As you can see on the Lazy Susan, you start to get a good feel for what that head looks like, and we're not even anywhere near finished at the moment. Going to give a big thank you to all our patrons, the York Boys, Matt, Ludwig, Hofbauer, D-Wack, Mark, Dave, Tom and Spiky Dude. You guys are awesome, you are our top paying patrons. So if you're not a patron already and you want to support the channel, links are in the description, go check those out as it helps us buy bits and models for the painting tutorials and all the other videos that we do and helps us improve. And if you just want to buy some cheap models, check out the Outpost. Affiliate link of ours is in the description. They'll give you 15-20% off all hobby supplies, and they'll give us 5% store credit just for the advertisement at no extra cost to you, so everyone's a winner there. And that is all for this video. I'm looking forward to carrying on this project, and I shall see you in the next one. Thanks for watching, guys.